All right, so we're going to go ahead and look at number one. It says, which expression is equivalent to the cubic root of 25? So we are not going to simplify this. We're simply looking for something that can be expressed as an equivalent. So if we take away the cubic root, right? If we leave it as the cubic root, but we just simply look at the square root of 25, the square root of 25 is equal to 5, which means that we know that 5 squared is equal to 25. So having the cubic root of 5 squared is the same thing as having the cubic root of 25. All right, these are one and the same right here. All right, so if we simplify it to the cubic root of 5 squared, then we can go ahead and put our answer as a fractional exponent. So if you see here, I have that we would do the base, which is the same thing as the radicand, which is the big number. And then we would have our exponent, which is the number that is right here in the top, over the index, which is the number that is right there within the check mark. So that means we would have 5 to the power of, the exponent is 2, and the index is 3. So 5 to the power of 2/3, which would be A. All right. Now, let's move on to the next one. We have, it says, Zelda wants to find an equivalent expression for the one shown in the box. X to the power of 1/4, all right, X to the power of 1/4, and it's in parentheses. So that means with the law of exponents, we are going to raise the power, all right, by -4. So you could use a calculator, or you could try to do it by hand or what have you. But if you use the calculator, we would have X, we would have to multiply the -4 and the 1/4. So if we take that out of parentheses and have 1/4 times -4, which would be -4/1, we would get 1 times -4 is -4, and then 4 times 1 is 4. -4/4 would be -1, all right? So now we have X to the -1 power, and we know that we have to change it to a fraction with 1 on the, in the in the numerator's position, I'm sorry, in order to get rid of that negative. So we would have 1/X, and that would be C. All right, number 3, the amount of water in a pool is 12,000 gallons. During the morning, water is added to the pool at a rate of 0.32 gallons per hour. This situation can be modeled using the equation in the box, where V represents the volume of water in the pool and T represents the hours. All right, so V represents the volume and T represents the hours. What is the most reasonable meaning of the number 0.32 in this equation? So if you look here, 0.32 is right next to T, and T is equal to the time in hours, right? And it already said up here that the pool, that water is being added to the pool at a rate of 0.32 gallons per hour. So the 0.32 is the amount of gallons that are being added in. So let's look at A, the number of hours it takes to fill the pool totally. So no, the 0.32 is the amount of gallons per hour. So we're gonna mark that one off. The number of hours it takes to add 0.32 gallons. No, we don't know how many hours. We know that it is 0.32 gallons per hour. So we're gonna mark that one off as well. And then C says the number of gallons of water being added per hour, which is the correct answer. D is the number of gallons in the pool after 12,000 hours. Again, we don't know how many hours, and the number 12,000 was gallons. It wasn't hours, so that's incorrect as well. All right, number 4, Letitia needs to simplify a polynomial expression for homework. What should Letitia write on her homework paper as the correct answer? So remember, when we have a fraction with exponents, we have to subtract the exponents, right? And we can simplify the whole numbers. All right, so let's do this step by step. Let's first simplify 16 over 24, and then we're gonna do x squared over x and y over y to the third power. Okay, so we're gonna do that. All right, so let's find the GCF of 16 and 24. So I know that 8 both goes into 16 and 24. 8 goes into 16 2 times, and 8 goes into 24 3 times. So that's going to be 2/3. X squared over x is going to be x squared minus x, which would be just x. All right, and then y to the first power over y to the third, we would subtract the 1 and the 3, which would give me y to the negative second power. All right, and then we have to also convert this negative exponent to a fraction, just like we did in the previous one. So currently, right now, I have 2/3 x because x is positive. And in order to convert the y to the negative second power, we'll put a 1 on top of the fraction and the y to the second power on the bottom. Now, in the choices that we have here, we don't have a 1 because the 1 is technically not needed. So we really just need to look for an answer that has 2x over 3y to the second power, which would be A. All right, and lastly, it says, what is a binomial factor of the expression x squared plus 18x plus 77? So remember, a binomial is with two terms, so all of these are binomials. What you could do is go ahead and factor this trinomial in order to see which binomial would work. So let's go ahead and see what are the factors of 77 that would give me 18, all right? So the factors of 77, I know that 1 times 77 is 77. I know that you can start by dividing it by 2. So 77 divided by 2 is a decimal, so that one wouldn't work. And you would just keep working through and until you're able to find what number works. So the next number is 7 times 11 is 77. And those are the only factors of 77 that will work. But what can we add? What would be the sum? So if we say 1 plus 77, that's going to give us 78. But if we say 7 plus 11, that's going to give us 18, and that's what we need, 18. So if we're looking at our choices, we don't see any 11s anywhere. So we need to look for the positive 7 because they're both positive numbers. All of these are positive numbers. So A would be our answer. So if I were to write the binomial as a whole, I would have x plus 7 times x plus 11, and that would be my complete factor, but this is the only one that we see, which is A.